Hello, testing, testing. Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the SR4S Super Formula Championship, the second round here from Indianapolis. It is good to be back with you on this series once again for 33 laps of racing tonight. It should be in a few moments' time. 4 minutes to go in the practice session. We'll bring you qualifying and the race coming up very, very shortly as well at the start of our new season of the SR4S Super Formula Championship. Great to have it back. 30 drivers have got themselves into this session at the moment and currently practicing, which is absolutely fantastic to see, and we're going to thoroughly enjoy it as spectators here tonight. It's going to be myself, Jim Cunningham, bringing you the action here tonight from Indianapolis in the second round of 9. It'll be here, of course, on JPB Live for the final round of the championship, which will come from Suzuka in a few weeks' time. So, looking forward to that. In the first rounds of the championship, we might as well run through the race results from the first round of the championship if we can. But now I need to find the results. Here we go. Gabriel Hopp took the victory by 3.6 seconds. Of course, this race taking place at Interlagos, the first round of the championship. Hopp first place ahead of Gonzalo Perez and Kostek Solveig, who finished on the podium. Elliot Court and Max Shabley were in the top 5. João Itabori was sixth place ahead of Christopher Sears. Jeff Groff 8th ahead of Carson Keane and Christian Jasper, who rounded out the top 10. Carl Willard was 11th ahead of Anthony Zaich with Nick Drawnick and Ryan Senna. Sergi Porok was rounding out the top 50 with Jace Meyer, Josh Benjamin and Dakota Jamaig, the last drivers on the lead lap. And then going further down, of course, less and less points available further and further down the field. Only 15 top 15 getting points anyway, so I probably went a bit too far down the order anyway. But of course that will be the championship standings as well, because there was only one race before this one, only one round before this one, and that was from Interlagos. I wonder whether Jim can hear me now. Can you hear me? Oh, here we go.
Yep, we're all good. We've
not been able to talk to each other before this, so we're all fine now.
Yeah, we're good.
I can't see at the moment, Jim, so you're going to have to show me what you're putting onto the stream, as we normally do. Otherwise it could be a bit difficult, but we'll do that. That's all right. We'll get sorted. There are the team standings. As I mentioned, the driver standings, little point really, because there is just the race results that I just read out there. But Combata Racing are leading the way in the teams, with Gonzalo Perez and Max Shabley ahead of FNG Racing. That's Frankie Brzezowski and Gabriel Hopp. 12 points the gap there. Elliot Court and Elliot Rolls, who I think have got a missed opportunity there for a team name. But anyway, DDK Racing Jordan finished third, or are third for now. 1 point back to Go Squadra, 1 point back to SR4S. Anthony Zaich, of course, who organises, and Christopher Sears there as well. Breakfast Yellow, Turn 1 survivors. Then you get some small points further down the field. In fact, only the top 10 getting the points so far from this season, because as I mentioned, there's only been one round so far. Super Formula Racing, Jim, I mean, super fun, I think. I really enjoy watching these cars. We're going to go to circuits later on where we can compare Formula 1 and Super Formula times, and there indeed are the dates for the season going across the next 10 weeks, 9 rounds, ending at Suzuka. Suzuka being one of those circuits where these cars and F1 cars have both been around in the real world. These are really, really fast cars, and surprisingly, despite that, they are still very, very close to race, and yeah, it should be good. I think Indianapolis suits these cars rather well as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think as I was talking to some of the guys last week, I'm not sure who it was, but somebody was in chat talking to us about these cars. Apparently, just absolutely destroy the rear tires because they have so much power. They tend to be a tire killer. They're quite a step up from the Super Formula Lights cars, and of course they have a ton of power, and they you also have the ability for the push to pass, which we'll probably talk about as the race gets going. As you can see right there, they do have quite a bit of power, especially on gold tires. You can see he spun that coming out of the pits like it was just that's the way these cars are. So to touch, since we didn't have an opportunity, you and I, to talk pre-race, obviously I brought up you couldn't see it, but I brought up the results from last race, which you talked about. Here's the race info that they provided us with. So this just shows the time that it's set in sim, and the weather in Indianapolis. It's going to be 33 laps, and with a temperature 74 degrees Fahrenheit, which is should make for a nice race. It should leave us with a good track temperature. So it should provide excellent conditions to race in, as we are just getting lone qualifying going now.
Yes, just underway. Yeah, a minute and a half or so. So we'll cover the times as and when they come through. But they've got 10 minutes out there at the circuit. Just a couple of things, by the way, for the start of the season, in case you've not seen this season before. Adam Merchant is the reigning champion. I believe he is. Yeah, he is here tonight for Squid Gang Racing, so he'll be back. Gabriel Hopper is a big favourite for the season at the beginning of this season. Finished first last week and was a pre-season favourite as well. That's not hindsight. That's a pre-season favourite. Gabriel Hop, one to be looking for. It's the largest grid that SR4S has ever had as far as registered drivers go. Just over 3,000 iRating on average as well for the 36 drivers, 30 of which at least are here tonight as well. So yeah, it's a great season to have back again. Yeah, it's been a good start to the season so far. Very, very fast circuit, I've got to say, Indianapolis. Just 1:08 lap time. So you mentioned 33 laps. That's the race distance tonight. But those 33 laps are going to go by very, very quickly.
Yeah, they're definitely turning fast laps here. To be honest, this might be the fastest car that I've ever seen on the Indianapolis road course. Typically, I guess most of what I've seen here is sports car racing, even the GTP cars, but they are nothing as far as lap time compared to these cars, with the downforce and the horsepower these have. Yeah, I mean, it's possibly even too small for these cars, to be honest, this circuit, but maybe not. I mean, they do suit it quite well. You could argue on the other hand. So yeah, well, I mean, we'll see how they race. I did and some of these guys did actually in this field as well. Did a race on Thursday night. We also cover here on JPB, and it was a fun race and or fun couple of races indeed as we do in those broadcasts. But yeah, I think. It's a short circuit, but I don't think the racing suffers too much from that. Let's have a look at Gabriel Hop here into the final couple of corners. He's just edging outside the top 10 now as lots of drivers come past him on the leaderboard. His first lap time, of course, just about getting up to speed, really, rather than actually doing anything special on this opening lap. What can he do here over the start-finish line? 16th place to begin with. He's going to move up to second, I think, with that lap time there, if it counts, and indeed it does. So Hop is taking on his favourite status, and yeah, he's on the front row by looks things again as he looks to repeat last week's race win. Yeah, he that was a great race last week at Interlagos, man. I really enjoyed it. It just had all the action you'd want. Of course, Interlagos is a great track, and it's the kind of track that breeds great racing. But I do think this is going to be a fun race tonight, especially with just seeing these cars around the historic Indianapolis Motor Speedway. For an American kid growing up watching
watching racing, Indianapolis, that was the track, and I'm old enough, unfortunately, to remember the days even when the Indianapolis 500 wasn't broadcast live. You would listen to it on the radio, and then you would tune in the next weekend and they would show it live. Or they would show the edited down version of it, so it held just a mystique about Indianapolis as an American kid watching racing. So it's cool to see these cars here.
Yeah, what do you make of the road course, though? Because so much of this history is about the yard of bricks, and it's about the oval, about the 4 turns, and it actually does have 4 turns, unlike most ovals that say they do.
Yes.
What about the road course? Where especially in this version here, it's no longer the Formula 1 version that was used back in the 2000s, where they turned right while we now go left at turn 5 and go through. We nowadays go through that very short, sharp chicane.
Right.
And back in the day, they went through that little loop. There used to be hairpins where turn 7, 8, 9 is, but nowadays it's a faster, more flowing chicane. There's an extra chicane now, turning right at turn 12. So it's gone through its fair share of changes, even in the last 20 years. But what do people tend to make of Indianapolis as a road coursing venue rather than the storied oval?
I think there are a lot of people that love it as a road course. It's funny that you asked me that question, because from my point of view, I'm not a huge fan of this track as a road course, just in general. To me, it doesn't have a lot of character. The only thing that it brings as far as character goes is the fact that it's around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. You know what I mean? Other than that, to me, the infield just does not have a ton of character. Just my personal opinion. That being said, I'm not a huge fan of rovals in general. I like purpose-built road courses. More so than rovals, but this one especially, I'm not a huge fan of it, but I've seen some good racing here, but again, it's just personal preference. I'd rather see them racing Watkins Glen or something like that, Road America, whatever.
Yeah, I can understand that, certainly. Because it's I think part of the beauty of racetracks is that normally there are a few limits as to what you can actually do with a road course, and it twists and turns in any sorts of different ways normally. But with a roval, the natural surroundings do rather limit the options that you've got, and that means that really, is there an exciting roval to drive in the world? You can get some good races on rovals, but in terms of actually driving on them, I think, it is very, very difficult to make a good one. So they are restricted in that sense. But as you say, the history... Go on.
I was going to say, the only, to me, what makes these rovals what they are is the fact that you've got these massive stadium seating areas that allow you to see a good majority, or if not all, of the track from these massive grandstands and stuff. So in that sense, and it kind of is sitting down below you, whereas you go to a typical road course, you see a couple of corners if you're lucky, in person. But if you go to one of these tracks, you can see a lot more of the course. And so I guess from that sense, to me, I think that's probably the reason that they're as popular as they are.
Yeah, that is true. You don't get that on a normal road course. I know, especially at Daytona, there are places where you can sit and pretty much see the whole thing. At the Daytona 24, for example, or whatever it is, racing there, it's a thing that you do get that maybe other road courses suffer from a little bit. But of course, it has its drawbacks as well because of the restrictions in layout, therefore, that you have. But I think you're right that the oval that surrounds most rovals actually are what creates the history
Yes.
and indeed the character of the circuit. I think that's okay. I don't see that as a minus point per se as of this. I think it's fantastic that so many different disciplines of racing can go around here, and indeed we can do stuff like this at the road course, but also stuff like the Brickyard 400, for example, on the oval, which is just a world away from this kind of racing in the Super Formulas. It's fun to do that at the same venue, but either way, let's enjoy the race, shall we, and get onto the grid, because the SR4S round 2, Super Formula Championship round 2 is about to get underway. JT Smitten on the pole with Elliot Court alongside Gabriel Hop and João de Gregorio, that is. That's not the name there, but he's 4th place, ahead of Adam Merchant, reigning champion, and Gonzalo Perez. Cole Willard and Kostek Solovig are on row 4, ahead of Jeff Groff and Jace Meyer, with Elliot Rolls and Max Shabley on row 6. High class row 6, by the way, considering they're both outside the top 10. Christian Jasper and Leo Delmar are on row 7, ahead of Chris Sears and Nick Drawnick. It's Felipe Sarkis and Sergei Porok, who is on row 9, ahead of João Itaburi and Richard Danielovsky, rounding out the top 20. And outside the top 20, Carson King, Dakota DeMeg, Brian Long, Bryce Benton, Anthony Zeitz, Sarah Guerra, Matt Alfredson, Joshua Benjamin, and at the back, not sure if Matthew Short and Harry Saston are going to start the race. At the moment, they're not on the grid. But just about 45 seconds until the gridding process ends, and one of the big things about this circuit is the big stop down towards turn 1 and how they're going to navigate that on lap 1.
Definitely, that definitely can be an issue. It tightens up down there significantly. I will say that, these guys very much handled that professionally last week. They seem to have a good handle on knowing the time and place to push it.
Let's get underway then, shall we, for the SR4S Super Formula Championship. Here, coming to you live from Indianapolis Motor Speedway, as they roar down in towards turn 1 with 4 wide almost in the midfield. As down on the brakes in towards turn 1, they all just about get through cleanly. Nice to start from the leaders at least. Let's see back in the pack. This is where the trouble ends up being. Oh, and it was through turn 2. Through the middle of the pack, there was trouble down towards the back end of the field. It is Leo Delmar, I think, who has gone around into the biggest spin of them all. And there's another spin as well coming through turn 4. Dakota DeMeg is also dropping down. Carson Keane, Nick Drawnick, the 2 Canadians might have made contact. For the leaders, at least, it was a clean start. And for JT Smitten, he retains the pole position. Elliot Court and Gabriel Hop continue to fight through the middle sector. And it is Court who gets into second. Hop goes wide. And here comes Adam Merchant. He makes up 2 places and goes up to 3rd.
Yeah, it started off nice. They got into turn 1 pretty good, but then it kind of went a little south there. But overall, not too bad. I mean, considering that's a lot of cars funneling down into a small area.
That was tight as well. Tight, very tight through the final corner between Hop and João de Gregorio. 2 countrymen there going absolutely wheel to wheel. And in the background, Kostek Solovek making it 3 wide. He's trying to take them both on the way down in towards turn number 1. Is he going to do it on the brakes? He certainly will. What a great bit of driving that was from Solovik there, just to watch the 2 in front go side by side, take themselves out of the fight, and he goes and takes both places in one go.
Wow. Yeah, that was a very impressive move right there.
Into the back straight again, of course. Oh no, it's okay in the back. I thought there was stuff going on in the background for the chicane.
Oh no!
And Hop goes for a spin. Last week's race winner in trouble. And there's damage as well down here at turn 7. Oh my word, that's going to be a big talking point a little bit later on. There was big contact here, and look at the bodywork bouncing down the circuit. Gabriel Hop's going to get back going again, but there's contact, and it was instigated by him. He's got damage, and last week's race winner's in trouble at round 2.
Yeah, that all went wrong right there. Let's see if we can. Wow, that went south really fast there. A slow motion replay I'm famous for.
See, was it unreasonable for Hop to go be down the inside here, or did Gregorio not give him? I mean,
well, I tell you, it almost. That's hard. It's hard to judge that. I mean, one quick look at it again here from the chopper.
I mean, he does hit the curb and go out wide.
The curb is what, yeah, the curb launched him in there and caused that incident. But I don't know.
Very interesting.
You could say numerous things about that. You know, you could say that he shouldn't have pushed it there. I'm gonna call that a racing incident. Maybe the stewards will have a different opinion of that, and that's above my pay grade anyway. So we'll let somebody else decide that. It was an unfortunate incident for sure, because it sure took out some good cars.
Yeah, it has. Elliot Rolls is in pit lane and back out again, so the short repair for him. Gabriel Hopp is on his way back out again after 3 seconds. Max Shabley is in pit lane. Gonzalo Pio Perez is in pit lane, although he's been there for a minute or so, so I wonder whether he was caught up on lap 1 in anything else that we may well see in a few moments to see if there are any more replays from the opening laps for us to look at. But JT Smitten is leading the race by nearly 2 seconds in front of Elliot Court, and Adam Merchant just a further second behind him. Kostik Solovek has moved up to 4th place, and Giorgio Di Gregario rounding out the top 5. The biggest mover forward, by the way, up 16 places for Brian Long, already into 7th place. He's got Christian Jasper and Sergei Porok right behind him right now, but
so
has made up a lot of places.
Obviously, an incident that occurred at the start here, real quick. There's a few. I'll work through a couple of these real quick. That was more just come to a stop there to avoid an accident, really, and then a little contact here and there.
I think that's Leo Delmar. One of those two is Leo Delmar off the circuit, off the side there, and then someone's rejoining. There's a spin there. You just saw it through turn 4. That caught up a few more.
This is the Delmar incident here.
Yeah, this will be. So you can see the pink car rejoining. Doesn't actually have an effect in the end, but this blue car goes for a spin right in front of the pack, and everybody just about avoids it. But that could have been worse. That was sort of down the back, and that's sort of as bad as it got, which is pretty good going, really.
Yeah, it's really
considering
not bad.
Indianapolis. But then it was what happened later which got a bit more tricky.
Yeah, it did get a little bit more tricky after that. This is further down in the field here. The timing tower up here for us.
Delmar's off again there, by the way, off out wide. So these guys all now fighting for 12th place. But yeah, you're right. It's a group.
Hop has got a black flag. I wonder if he had a pit road violation or something. Speeding or something as he was recovering from that incident earlier. That's not going to
it's entirely possible.
Not going to help his situation. And he's Jasper's got
possible.
Jasper's got to slow down. He's cleared it now. We're back up here.
Can get those pretty easily here as Giorgio Di Gregario defends from Jeff Groff for 5th place there.
Yeah, this is definitely the kind of place that you can rack up the off tracks quick. The boundaries are pretty tight here.
And Di Gregario holds on quite nicely ahead of Groff. Further behind, Brian Long continuing to defend from Jasper, although that gap grows to a second, just as I say that, actually. Brian Long up 16 places so far. So is Matthew Short, although Short came from the very, very back of the field, and Brian Long came from nearly the back, outside the top 20. Gabriel Hopp now has pulled into pit lane and seems to be out of the race. Unfortunately, looks like we may already have 9 retirements from the opening laps, which is a very high number considering the fact we're only on lap 6 at the moment, lap 7 just about.
Yeah, no, that's a bit crazy, to be honest. That it seems, if you look at the timing and scoring showing, let me see if I can pull that up so they can see what I'm looking at here real quick. Okay, so right here, if you look at positions gained, you got so many people here. Brian Long up 16 spots. Several of these guys up 10, 13. Seems like that we had the incident occurred kind of in the mid-pack guys and took out a lot of the, mid-pack, reasonably fast guys right there. And it's brought some of these guys up from the bottom of the field now, and they're up here running in the top 15. And we've kind of thinned out that mid-pack a little bit. But one of the things that seems to have happened along the way is a lot of the field has kind of spread out. I guess because you had the front pack that left ahead of all the incidents, and then you had the ones that slowed down to avoid it or came up after.
That's a big dive from Christian Jasper down the inside for 7th. And he moves up. So well executed in the end. It's always tricky down there. You're sort of turning off the banking there through turn 11, right the way down in towards turn 12, which is a pretty deep braking zone. And it's lucky that there was that space on the inside that Brian Long didn't really cut across him there or anything. And Jasper has a little bit of defending to do towards turn 1, but stays in front in 7th place. It's allowed Sergei Porok also to catch up, and it's now a 3-driver group again.
Yeah, looks like it's gonna shape up into a nice battle. And you got back here, this is looks like it's turning into a decent little fight as well. Rid of that gain thing off of the scoring, so it's not as big.
Telmo with trouble earlier with those couple of spins that we've seen, and that's why he's coming through the field in the way that he is at the moment. You'd imagine he'll be in the top 15 in a moment. Top 15, by the way, is where you get points from in this series. So that is maybe one reason for 9 retirements out of 30 in just
That's
6
true.
laps, maybe even less, because, you know, if you soldier on, then, you know, you might get points. But, you know, I think there are some drivers who don't have any trouble today who are not going to score points either. You know, it's a very difficult point system, although I really do like that, by the way. I do like the fact it's a pretty punishing system, but nevertheless, it doesn't incentivise people to stay in the race very much.
No, it doesn't, and I guess that would probably be the negative to it if there was a negative. But that being said, I don't know. It kind of reminds me of, you know, Formula One and the old Formula. As long as off the course here, but he gathered it up before he caught a wall or anything.
Takes the long way. A long joke for you there, but anyway.
Oh, I missed it. Sorry, I was looking at chat. It's not often that you throw a pun out there like that. You caught me off guard there. The worst part is you had to explain the joke to me, which makes it even funnier from your standpoint, because you're like, he's an idiot. He missed my joke. I was looking at chat though to see who we had in chat tonight. While see if we had some comments going on. It does look like we have some. Unfortunately, some of them I don't have a translation for.
Yeah, we need a Spaniard or someone who speaks Spanish for some of it. But a couple of them, of course, drivers that we know, of course, of as we will continue to let this battle continue on the screen.
Benjamin just ran off track there.
Yeah. Joshua Benjamin, of course, made up a lot of places so far actually from this race. Short and Zeitch also in towards turn number 1. Zeitch should stay in front there, just about, not comfortably, but he will in 11th position. Ray Aguilar we've seen in the past in JPB on a Thursday night on occasion, and Finley Fitzsimmons we see very regularly on a Thursday night. I'm not sure why he's not racing in this series, to be honest, Fitzsimmons, if he's not here. If he is watching us, why he's not racing in this series, but there you go. I'm sure there is a reason. He wants me to get me commentating on some karting or something, by the sounds of that.
Oh,
which is
that's a whole other animal.
That's exactly. Yeah,
you could end up like Alex. Alex Goldschmidt, flying around the world to do karting stuff.
Well, it wouldn't be. It'd be going around. It'd be the UK. I don't know what that acronym stands for, but it's something to do with the UK. So.
That's true.
That's what he's chatting about, and that's what that acronym means for everybody else who's confused about that. But anyway, Matthew Short again. And who's that behind, by the way? There's some lap car who's right in here as well. That's Cole Willard, I think, who is in 21st.
Is it Willard?
So
yeah, it is Willard.
Lap down, soldiering on. It's good to see some drivers carrying on after pit stops. I mean, Willard, Shabley, Drawnick and Sarkis have all carried on after their stops, and so fair play to them, because they've clearly had trouble tonight and they're carrying on.
I mean, my thought is, look, man, you put in a week's worth of practice, to be fast in these type leagues, you got to put the work in, and your reward is getting to do the race. And if it goes south like that early on for you, it gets car fixed. Get out there, run your laps, have some fun. That's what you do this for. So, I'm all for, like you said, soldier it on, just have some fun with it. By the way, we're following Matthew here. He's trying to make short work of Anthony Zilch. There you go.
There you go. 1-1.
Wanted to join the party with you. Look at
Yeah, he certainly is. Good luck making one from Sergei Porok. Side by side between Benton and Daniel Lewicki. And it's going to be the American who wins out. Benton into 9th position to side by side. He's not done with it yet. Inside for 3 and 4. Bit of gravel on the outside of the corner, but nothing that you have to drive through there. Over the chicane. Daniel Lewicki is going to get into the slipstream and have a go on the way towards turn 7. There he goes. Outside liners in the background. That's a spin and a crash for Long. Brian Long, our biggest mover forward at one stage tonight, has gone into the wall.
Oh, yeah, he wasn't long for that position. Okay, now.
What have I started?
You did it. Like I feel like,
I did.
Boy, that's.
Look at those curbs.
Man, was it the curb that got him, or did it just? I guess it was, huh? Boy, that snapped around on him, though. Man, what a mess. All right.
These cars don't particularly like those curves, to be honest, and so that's a big reason for that. But look at this group now. Benton, Daniel Lewicki, Zeitchen, Store all here, and there is a lap car involved as well in the middle of it, which is making the group look very large indeed, but none separating the front 3. Zeitch is caught up and he's done the work to sort of get these groups together here. Meantime, oh my word, Leo Delma down the inside, and that's way too late on the brakes. He goes straight on.
Wow, yeah, there he come. He went so far he came around the next turn. Yeah, that was whew. He sent it.
Well, he's back to 15th now, and he's still serving that slowdown. Goodness me, still can't get it cleared. It's a massive slowdown. It must be.
It really is. Yeah, well, that was a big. The way he went, that was. I could see how it would. He's still trying to serve that. Holy cow! There, finally he got it cleared.
3 seconds. Goodness me. Oh, and a spin for Daniel Lewicki from the top 10. He drops out in the penultimate corner. These cars do seem difficult to drive. You mentioned the rear tyres earlier on. It's not particularly warm, 84 Fahrenheit, but it's tricky.
That should be good grip for these cars. I mean, really, they're hard to drive. I don't know if you've ever attempted it. I got all excited and thought I was going to be able to drive these cars one time and went out and tried to practice in them. I was going to join a series that was racing these, and I found out quickly I wasn't ready for this yet. It's a little too much power for my heavy lead foot. Let me tell you, it's just, you really got to have a good, well, for lack of a better term, a good grip on the throttle. You really have to be able to have good throttle control to drive these cars.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you'd like the Super Formula lights in that case. That's
yes,
sort of
but I can, the Super Formula lights I can drive, and I'm reasonably quick in them, but this car has so much more power than that. I want to say like double the horsepower.
Probably does. I need to double check, but probably does. I mean, just the way you have to apply the power is so different. As you say, You've got to really modulate the throttle in this car. Super Formula lights are almost impossible to spin on power. Obviously, it is possible, but it's not easy. And so that's a real big difference between the two as we approach half distance in this race. By the way, 33 laps scheduled tonight. 50 minutes to do them as well, which is more than enough time unless some real disaster happens to us here tonight. And JT Smeaton's leading by 2 seconds. He won our broadcasted race on JPB on Thursday night as well. Both races that evening. Although Adam Merchant wasn't there, neither was Kostek Soloweg. And here those two are battling for third place at the moment.
Let's see. I'm gonna switch that a tower around if I can find a place to do that. There we go. Now that shows our full laps up there, so we know what lap it ends on. This is a nice little battle here shaping up.
It is, yeah. Merchant, reigning champion, currently in third place in this race. And, of course, with Gabriel Hopp dropping down the field and Gonzalo Perez also, they both, by the way, finished 1 and 2. The pair of South Americans, they finished 1 and 2 last week. They're both out of the race tonight. You're looking at these kind of drivers to be able to take over the series lead. Solveig finished on the podium last week and be looking for a second one if at all possible. JT Smith didn't score any points last week. Elliot Cook was 4th. So, yeah, there's a number of drivers here who'd be sort of in and around each other. After just 2 rounds, it's shaping up for a very close championship here.
That's good. We don't want any runaways. I mean, I don't wish anything bad to happen to anyone, but it's always nice to build up a little drama in the championship and not have one or two cars run away from the field. It's a little action back here. It's a little three car battle going on.
This is going to be interesting. 3 wide into turn 1, and doesn't want any part of that, does Short, and you can't blame him either. Benson breaks late on the outside on Zeich, who will keep 9th place by the looks of things. Anthony Zeich, very well done. And
the funny thing was, Short was not using his push to pass there. He was drafting those guys. Both of them were using their push to pass coming down the straightaway there. Does the timing tower that you look at have their push to pass numbers on it as well?
It doesn't have it properly. You can't glean much from it. What we have to do generally is wait until they are using it and go on board and look at the steering wheel, because the steering wheel does display how many seconds they have remaining.
Yep, and we can do that. I'll make note of that and we'll do that so that people can see. I tried to pull it up on the timing tower for the Oh no! That was
Zeich and Benson.
Zeich and Benson. Wow.
And Zeich has got no rear wing any longer, and a meatball flag. Well,
oh man,
that's the end of the day. That's the end of the day for the boss man, Anthony Zeich, unfortunately, who has got a meatball flag, and will have to come down pit lane, and it'll be a miracle for him to rescue some points from here. I've noticed as well in my weeks covering Super Formulas, the meatballs do seem relatively harsh, to be honest, relatively easy to pick up.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess these cars are, you get these higher tech type cars, and I think that they're just not built as tough, I mean, look at some of the stuff that knocks Formula One cars out of races, I'm just guessing that the more technology these cars have, the more fragile they become potentially. But I don't know, that didn't seem that dramatic there, but it's hard to get around without your wing. Where is Alfred? Let's see. Oh, this is not going to be a good situation here. Get out on that curb. Yep. Boy, that one. He did a good job of saving that, to be honest. That's a easy thing to do there. I've done that even in a GT car there. This kind of does make me want to drive an open wheel car around here, though. Short of, obviously, I've done plenty of open wheels around the oval, but this is back up front here. Yeah, I think it'd be fun to drive it. To try a open wheel.
Solveig, there's Solveig right next to the pit wall, and he takes the.
Gosh.
Oh, look at Merchant trying to go back to the inside. Solveig's very late on the brakes as a result, and he's going to go off. Caustic Solveig off, trying to search for his second podium in 2 rounds, and Adam Merchant goes straight back through. We've seen how costly those slowdowns are as well. Caustic Solveig is going to lose a lot of time with that slowdown. Merchant has successfully defended, and mainly by doing so, he sort of almost made his opponent miss there, if you like, and he capitalised on that massively. Look at that. The gap still extends. He still can't serve it. It's going to be 3 seconds nearly by the time that this slowdown is cleared. It is a painful one to serve.
Yeah, boy, I'll tell you what. They are brutal at this track in these cars, man. I mean, yeah, they're punishing. Sometimes you can get away with a slowdown, and it's not too costly. But so far tonight, that hasn't been the case.
I mean, it's probably a good thing to deter people going off the circuit when it looks easy.
Yeah, and I mean, the funny thing was he was again using his push to pass coming down the straightaway there, and you wonder if his braking point would have changed because he was going faster than our normal lap speed there, and he missed his braking point, which caused him to run wide.
Yeah, I think that is a good point, and something that people don't actually often think about when they're in a battle like that. When they're getting the slipstream as well as the push to pass they might be using as well, you do have to adjust your braking point every time. It's not an exact science, braking point. You don't look at the 100 meter board and brake there every time. It depends on your exit a little bit, how good your exit was. It depends a little bit on, as you say, a bit of slipstream, bit of push to pass. You need to bring that braking zone a little bit earlier in that case. So, it's all these things you have to think about and juggle while you're coming down the long pit straight here. That big opportunity down in towards turn number 1 that Brian Long is going to be too far away from to make work on Benton this time round in the battle for 13th place.
Well, Long is somewhat recovered from his little spin earlier. I mean, he's still in a points paying position at this point, albeit not very many points, but at the rate of attrition that we've seen, if you can stay on the lead lap here, you might be all right to score some points, because we sure seen a lot of cars drop out, and we're only at this point we still got 11 more laps to go. So there's clearly probably going to be a little more attrition, although there's less cars out there now, so they're not as likely to get into each other.
Yeah, and we're not at the start of the race anymore either, which is always the big flashpoint as well for these kind of things, as Daniel Lewski continues to try and work his way through the field, as does Leo Delmar. Both of these two have been delayed tonight, and Delmar in the slipstream is not going to gain much with Daniel Lewski on the push to pass there, on in towards turn number 1. He stays in 10th ahead of Delmar, who will have to trail him, and they'll both try and catch Short, who is in 9th position at the moment and very much in catching distance as well, just over 2 seconds in front, but they've only got about 10 laps to do it, and that is going to be knocked off very, very quickly around this track.
Yes, indeed. This is this track flies. I mean, a minute laps around here is, man, there's no time to rest. Even though it has the long straightaways here, it still doesn't give you much time to rest on a 1 minute lap like that.
Delmar gets really close down into the final chicane there, turn 12 especially. He just gained a little bit. Now then, what's his exit going to be like? It's not going to be as good as Daniel Lewski's because of the way that he's just decided to take that on, but he won't have any push to pass here, the Canadian. Delmar has the option, but he's not even using it. He's just using the old-fashioned slipstream as he comes through on the outside line here into 10th position. He's going to need to brake late and get the inside at 2, but he does exactly that. There you go, block the inside at turn 2. Job done, nicely done. And the Frenchman now moves into the top 10.
Yeah, that was a well-executed pass right there. I was waiting to see if he was going to overcook it into that next turn. But he gathered it back up nicely. That was, well-executed pass. No push to pass needed. Just did some good old school drafting and slipstream and took advantage of it.
And he looks like he's going to drive away now as well with 10th position because of the extra speed that he seems to have. Speaking of extra speed, by the way, Kostic Solveig seems to have better speed than Adam Merchant. He's now only a second and a half behind as Court gets a slowdown. He is going to drop further from Smeaton, who will look more and more comfortable in the race lead. But the battle for third may well be on again before the end of the race, and Merchant may well be under pressure.
I'd be curious to see how much, how long it takes him to serve this slowdown and how much time he loses in this spot. So far, not that much.
It just goes over 4 seconds now with that slowdown, and he's finally served it on the way towards turn 1. You're better off trying to serve it through the slower speed
absolutely.
Final chicane, to be honest, rather than all the pit straight. But
Yeah, that's literally the worst place, but it all comes down to how many seconds you have left to serve it. If you get unlucky and have to serve it on the straightaway, it's brutal. If you do get a chance to serve it through the infield section here, it's not as bad.
And also serving it on the pit straight is much better than getting disqualified for not serving it at all. So
quite a bit better, yeah.
He might as well. This is Joshua Benjamin closing on Benton, who went wide earlier in his battle with Brian Long, and let him through basically without any sort of pass for Long. He just sort of carried on driving, and Benton gave him the place. Joshua Benjamin going to try and get through now as well from 15th position. Already up 13 as the last qualifier. Joshua Benjamin clearly has speed to be higher up than that as he looks to double his points tally as he would with this overtake.
Yeah, this would. There's some interesting players here that are.
Oh, there you go, straight through. Or is he? No, yes, he is. Benton just pulls off the side. Oh, and indeed, comes to a stop and retires.
What in the world? Okay.
That's unusual.
Yeah, that was definitely different. I'm not sure what happened there. So back up here, as you said, the gap is continuing to come down. We're down to, less than a second now. What's going on here?
Something. Oh dear, what is? Oh my word! It's carnage back here in the battle for 9th place. Matthew Short has got big damage here. Daniel Lewski's got a meatball. What is happening here? And
so it was right after Benton jumped to the pits, and then.
None of these guys were particularly close to each other, so very interesting to see how this happens. So Short comes into the penultimate corner. He goes initially, then Delmac goes straight into him. Oh, and another comes straight in. My goodness.
Okay.
Oh, just piled in.
Well, and the funny thing is, I don't mean to be laughing, but you're supposed to be looking ahead. And this is an absolutely flat racetrack. The curb is the highest hill around here. How could you not see that? That was over a second in front of them.
Yeah, admittedly, in their defense, if I'll defend them for a moment, but although I agree, in their defense, you're so not expecting that coming through the left-hander there, and you won't be looking that far down the road just yet, that by the time you are looking at that, you will have turned in a bit and fully, and so you're sort of committed. But yeah, what they will have seen that they should have reacted to is yellow flags on the screen, and they should have known that something was going to be untoward up in front of them, and none of them slowed down there. And Daniel Erskine, who powered in third, and Elmar, who powered in second, both did have the yellow flag warnings. I would imagine. I'd be astonished if they didn't have those warnings to slow down, that they didn't listen to that.
So at this point, we have 10 cars on the lead lap out of a 30. What do we have? 30 car starting field.
Yeah, 30. Yeah.
And we got 10 cars on. I would have never expected Indianapolis to yield this kind of carnage. That was honestly the last thing I thought that it was going to happen here.
And I'm not totally shocked, I must admit. It's not one of those circuits that would be absolutely terrible for it, but I'm not totally shocked because it is pretty difficult in these cars anyway, and in any car really, it's a pretty difficult circuit. Not very much widely driven, although by these guys it should be well known enough in terms of the residual practice that they will have had down the years. But it's the case of these cars are pretty fragile. This track is pretty unknown as Sarkis gets through, and Joshua Benjamin here, by the way, it's just trying to stay out of everybody's way. And on the amount of drivers on the lead lap point, by the way, it's a very, very short lap, and so I reckon we might actually be down to 8 now on the lead lap, as a few more have been getting out the way of JT Smitten out front, who's now leading by 5 seconds. It's a very, very short lap, and so that's partly why we're seeing so many being put a lap down.
I mean, yeah, that's true. That's certainly true. It doesn't take much if you're, a second off the pace, and the occasional, where you drop 2 or 3 seconds on a lap or something. It can happen really fast. I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't, you're right. Everything you said is 100% correct. I don't disagree with you, on any factor there. I just didn't expect it. I really honestly thought we were going to have a lot of close racing.
Well, here's some of it.
Yeah.
It's like a replay, isn't it? Look at this. Solveig on the inside, but he stays firmer to the inside this time. Does he go too deep? A little bit, but he doesn't go across the colour. Oh, contact! Contact with Merchant, the reigning champions off in the gravel. Adam Merchant with contact with Costa Solveig, who is now third. Merchant will do well to hang on to fourth. Here comes De Grosso around the outside. Through turn 4. This could be... And indeed, Trigagario goes through. So through the chicane, Merchant's down to 5th place. But how long is this going to last for now? As Merchant gets in front. Oh, sorry, there's a lap car getting in the way. Here comes Trigagario now. Down the inside at turn 7. Can he take Merchant here after that spin? He can. Those tyres are going to be warm for Adam Merchant, and that's a couple of positions lost in the last couple of moments. Did he come across on the Polish driver, or did Solveig go into him? That will be the big question for those two.
Yeah, well, let's see. Let's see if this is going to show it to us here. Oh, man.
I think Solveig's on the inside there. They're, holding his line.
I have to. I think I agree with you. I want to see it from this angle real quick. That wasn't the angle I'd hoped it was going to be. One more here. But yeah, I think you're right. That's so far away. Could I have gotten a further camera angle, you think? No, I do agree, though.
I someone on the moon?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly. You got a telescope anywhere? Those binoculars aren't going to get it. You got a telescope?
Yeah. I think Merchant probably thought he was clear. I don't think actually Merchant meant to do it in terms of sometimes you get drivers who race in a very sort of Formula One way that they say, well, my nose was a centimetre in front, so I can do what I like.
I don't think that was it.
In the corner.
No, I agree.
That wasn't that at all. I think Merchant genuinely thought he would be clear by the second corner, and so took the racing line. I think that was an honest mistake. I don't think he was trying to, and he's actually lost a bit more time in relation to Gregario here. So Merchant's 5th, and trying to keep Groff behind him now.
Watch this.
Well, this is not the same thing again.
No.
This is Merchant trying to regain. Oh, wow. Outside of turn 1, he spins, trying to take 4th.
Them tires were still hot, and that's a high speed, heavy braking zone. You heat those tires up coming in there, and they were already extra warm, and that, yeah. So now he's floundering down in 5th and has Groff behind him for 6th place, while everybody in front of him is, next guy up. Giorgio is 5, almost 6 seconds ahead of him now. Wow, that went from bad to worse for him, didn't it?
Yeah, it did, yeah. And these things happen as we see the white flag, by the way, out front. JT Smitten has only got 1 lap to go. I told you this race would go by very, very quickly with 33 laps at Indianapolis. But yeah, I mean, Merchant there with the slightly warmer tyres. He will be frustrated by the incidents himself as well. And so it's no surprise those mistakes have piled on top of each other. JT Smitten hasn't made any of those mistakes tonight. Been absolutely flawless.
Indeed, he hasn't. We ought to give him a little bit of screen time. Poor guy's been so far out in front, we haven't shown him.
Yeah. I mean, Court stayed close for a while. He was 2 seconds around for a while. But, like what happened on Thursday, Smeaton just has the extra speed around here. And whether he can continue on into the coming weeks, starting at the Red Bull Ring next week and before our week off for Canadian Thanksgiving, remains to be seen. But he's had a brilliant start to this iRacing season as Smeaton in the Super Formula car, that is for sure, seeing his results across the board on the sim at the moment. Out of the final corner, and JT Smeaton is going to win the second round of the SR4S Super Formula Championship from Indianapolis. It's a dominant performance. 7.5 seconds the gap at the line. It will be a biggest winning margin we've seen so far this season in the 2 rounds we've had. Elliott Court will be on the podium, and he's going to be a contender for championship leader at the end of today, with Kostek Soloveg, who finishes just in behind him in 3rd position. Those two getting 2 top 5s in the first 2 races. They're the only drivers to manage that from the first 2 rounds of the season.
I'm sure Adam Merchant is not going to be happy with his top 5 finish. Considering it all went just horribly wrong for him in the last couple of laps there. Quite unfortunate for him. He was running an excellent race.
Yeah, it's sad that it ended that way for him. As Porritt comes across in the background to end off. Only 8 cars on the lead lap, as we mentioned. It's a very, very short lap round here. For some reference, by the way, last week 18 finished on the lead lap at Interlagos. Not that much of a bigger circuit, but a lot more getting to the finish. That just shows you what a difficult circuit this is at Indianapolis, and indeed has been.
We initially talked about last week. It was, kind of carnage. We viewed it as because we had, so many cars and 18 on the lead lap finishing. But this caught me off guard. I have to say, it really did. I just wasn't expecting it. It makes sense, but I just wasn't expecting.
Yeah, it's a big field and a tight circuit, and that's what this season is going to be all about by the looks of things. JT Smitten has taken the victory, though, tonight. Elliott Court and Kostek Soloveg as well on the podium with him. Hopefully we'll be able to chat to those podium drivers after the race. João de Gregorio gets up to 4th with Adam Merchant's late spins, dropping a couple of places late on. Jeff Groff ends up at 6th place. So did Christian Jasper, Sergei Poruk, the last driver on the lead lap. Brian Long gained 14th to get into 9th, with Dakota DeMag in running at the top 10. Felipe Sarkis, and then Joshua Benjamin, the highest mover forward today, coming from 28th, the last qualified driver, into 12th place by the end. Max Shabley couldn't repeat his 5th place finish from last week, instead drops in the end to 13th. Nick Drawnick and Carl Willard round out the top 15, with Matt Alfredson 16th place. Leo Delmat was in 17th, 2 laps down now, by the way. Matthew Shaw also 2 laps down in 18th place. And then to the retirements, Richard Danielewski and Bryce Benton in the top 20, and then Anthony Zeitz 21st. And these guys, by the way, below this, all 4th lap retirements or earlier. Gabriel Hopp, Carson King, Gonzalo Pio Perez, Sarah Garrett, Elliot Rolls, Chris Sears, Jace Meyer, Joe Idgebury, or Harry Saston, although Saston didn't actually take the start of today's race.
It might be might be worth mentioning real quick that Cole Willard was the last point scoring driver in 15th place. So there was a few big names there, obviously, that missed out on any points at all. So just wanted to point that out real quick.
No, good to point it out as well, because it was a driver who had a pit stop during that race. So did Felipe Sarkis, Max Shabley, Nick Drawnick and Willard all stopped and did get points. So as a note to everybody that you can do it, you can recover and get points.
Well, you certainly could here today. All right. So we got a couple, looks like, in the waiting room over there. Which one you want to pull in first?
I was going to go the wrong way up the order because we were waiting for Smitten, but JT Smitten has just popped himself in there. So let's go the normal way, shall we? Chat to the race winner first. JT, welcome in. Good to have you with us. Congratulations on a race victory. It's the second time we've talked to you this week about pace at Indianapolis. Have you enjoyed this week on iRacing in the Super Formula?
Oh, yeah. First of all, hello, guys. I've totally enjoyed this week. Seems to be a track that I sort of, connect well with, but yeah, I'm just going to enjoy this win. It's not going to come as easy as this every week, but yeah, overall, just going to enjoy this one, and we'll see what the rest of the season holds.
Absolutely. I mean, are we going to be seeing you much for the rest of the season? Because we didn't see you last week. Are we going to see you for the rest of the season?
Oh, yeah, that's the plan. Yeah, my plan is to obviously make the rest of the races, but yep, that's my plan.
Yeah, with one drop week, of course, that non-start will save you there. As you say, it's not going to be like this every week, but what did you see as the key tonight in terms of seeing the others off? Elliott Court, again, was right there at your heels early on tonight.
Yeah, it was really just about getting a good start and building that gap. This is a pretty short track, so unlike other tracks, you have to lap traffic a little more. frequently than other tracks. But yeah, it was just about keeping consistent pace, nailing every apex, and just focusing on my own race. And yep.
So I want to chime in for a second, if you don't mind, just because in all the time I've been broadcasting, when I go to pull up a driver, we can type in a couple of initials from your name, and whatever happened while you were on track pops up. You literally, when I typed in your initials, nothing popped up. You were out in front. You never had an off track. It doesn't look like. There literally nothing popped up. I had to completely get rid of your initials to find you because you had no incidents whatsoever. You didn't run it off track. You didn't have anybody you didn't pass it. It was just you were gone. And that's the first time that's ever happened. And I just wanted to say congratulations because that was quite an impressive run you had there.
Yeah, thank you. Means a lot. Yeah, I think it just comes down again to that I seem to click pretty well with this track, but yeah, definitely don't expect this every week because I don't remember the last time I had a league race where I didn't get a single incident point. So yeah, definitely won't happen pretty often.
Well, congrats again from us, JT, and thanks for chatting to us tonight. I'm sure we'll see you again very soon.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Thanks so much.
That's crazy. I've never seen that. Yeah. Not one single incident of any kind. Not a pass. Not anything.
Yeah, very well. That's the way to do it, isn't it? Get out front and don't do anything. But you mentioned it like we didn't see him on the screen at all. We gave him some airtime on the last lap there. But that's why, because he was so clean. So
you want to bring in now?
Way to do it. Let's chat to Elliot Court, shall we?
Okay.
Second place tonight. Elliot, welcome in and congratulations on second place here tonight. Your second top 5 of the season so far, and we'll get to that. But how pleased are you to be in second place? Is it a pleasing result for you tonight?
Yeah, pretty pleasing. I mean, JT, we were pretty much level on pace in practice. I think he was just that sort of like 10th ahead of me on raw pace. Then in the race, just couldn't stay behind properly with dirt. Yeah, killed my tires. It was the track was pretty hot. Then until like sort of lap 20 to the end, I had no rear end. I was just trying to keep it on track without sliding off. So I'll take a P to her.
And how does this set you up for the rest of the season as well? Because 3 of the other top 5 drivers from last week had to pit at some point during the race, and 2 of them didn't score any points at all. How you feel about the rest of the season? Too early to say, really, about how this sets you up, would you say?
Yeah, maybe too early to say, but I mean, it's been a pretty good start. I could have won last week, but got a drive-through penalty, unfortunately. So, I mean, yeah, P2, just really good points on the board, staying consistent, not getting any silly incidents or anything, no DNFs, and should be a pretty good finish at the end of the season.
Well, let's hope so. Elliot, thanks for chatting to us tonight, and congratulations on finishing second.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Elliot Court, second place tonight.
I'm not gonna lie, he wasn't much different. He only had 1 or 2 passes, and that was it. He was incident free as well.
I think he did get one slowdown, but maybe that didn't get picked up. Maybe I misremember that. Maybe it's somebody else. But anyway, yeah, pretty clean race for him, and a couple of top 5s. And another driver, by the way, who's got a couple of top 5s is Kostek Solovej, who we can bring in now as well. Kostek, welcome in. Good to have you with us. Congratulations on a second top 5 and indeed second podium of the season. You're the only driver to be in the top 3 in both the opening rounds. But tell us about that late fight with Adam Merchant there. It was great to watch. Ended in contact, unfortunately. What was your view on it?
My view on the contact is basically that it was a mix of a netcode, but I think Adam just turned into me. Like, I don't know. It might sound like George Russell, but like I was still there.
That was.
What is that laugh, dude?
That might sound because that's exactly what I think about George Russell. That was just funny that you said that. That might sound like George Russell. That was great. You became one of my favorite drivers because of that statement. That was great.
I mean, it kind of looks like it. I think it's going to be in a second on the stream.
Yeah.
I didn't feel anything on the wheel. Oh no, it's another
No,
overtake.
yeah, this was
Yeah,
a
it's
previous
next one.
lap, I think. Yeah.
Basically the whole point of that is I didn't feel anything, and he was spinning and I went spinning. I don't know what happened because I wasn't thinking that he like made contact or anything. I'm like, what the hell is happening? Maybe there is netcode. So there was netcode, obviously, but I was not expecting, like, it was very little netcode. I was not expecting, especially him, to make like close it like that on me. It was kind of weird, honestly.
How do you think it sets you up for the season as well? By the way, with a couple of podiums, so I'd ask the same thing to Elliot Court, and mentioned whether it's too early to really say, but you must be pleased to have the only driver with 2 podiums so far.
Yeah, I am pleased because it's a great position right now to be in with points and with podiums. I think I have a good pace because this wasn't my day, obviously, and that's what I think. So. I think I will just keep fighting. Even the bot quali didn't stop me today, so I think I'm pretty much set it up. But it's still a long way to go, so anything can happen.
Well, congrats again on the podium, Kostek, and thanks for chatting to us at the end as well.
Yeah, thanks.
So, did you notice that Adam Merchant popped into the chat room right about the time, right after the George Russell comment? So now we gotta pull Merchant in to see what he's got to say, see if he agrees that it was netcode or if there's some beef there.
Yeah. We'll just we'll have a quick chat with him before we sign off. Adam, welcome in. Good to have you with us, and thanks for popping in after the race you've had. A rather eventful finish. We're just putting in some replays of the late incident with yourself and Kostek. What was your take on it?
Yeah, thank you guys for the broadcast. Really appreciate it. But yeah, it was kind of tough. I made sure I gave him a car's width leading into turn 1. And I had gotten a switchback on him previously. He definitely had pace on me today. But I thought I had cleared him enough into turn 2 to merit, my own line there. But we had, unfortunately, some contact at the game register that I didn't think it should have. But maybe we were going to have an incident regardless. But yeah, in hindsight, I would have just given him a little bit more room. It felt like even though he had pace, I was able to hold him behind over the entire lap. But then I got wheel damage and I spun on the subsequent lap. So yeah, just not a great showing by me there.
So did you?
I didn't realize you'd actually.
Go on. Quick question. So in your opinion, there was definitely contact? It wasn't a netcode situation. You felt like there was definitely contact there.
Well, it was netcode, but I think just at the rate that our cars were traveling, I think contact was potentially inevitable. But at that point, it's his front wing just barely grazing my rear tire, which unfortunate for him, his whole car repaired itself, and I had wheel damage. But I didn't think he had enough space to stick his nose in there. But then again, what would I have done in that situation in his shoes? But it's potentially a racing incident. But yeah, just unfortunate.
That's a good attitude to have. That's that's absolutely right. You'd have done the same thing more than likely.
Yeah, I mean we're racers. He's got good pace. Adrenaline's pumping through us trying to hold that podium. But first time racing him, honestly, for his iRating, he's fantastic. So hopefully some more clean races by us in the future. I haven't touched the sim in about 10 days. I've been traveling, so a little bit of rust. I will say as well to my poor pace. But yeah, congrats to the podium. Those guys were really quick today.
Well, thanks for chatting to us again, Adam, and hopefully we'll see you again next week.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for the broadcast. See you all next week.
Thanks very much.
Man, isn't that refreshing to hear some good respect, it happened, racing incident, I love that. That's great. And not only that, he pays him a huge amount of respect for his iRating. He's a 2,800 iRating driver. Merchant's almost 7,000, and he's like, for his iRating, he's a fantastic driver. Just nothing but respect. That's awesome, and that's that's a good sign for this, for this league. That shows that, that there's a lot of respect in this league, and that's going to make, obviously makes for a great league.
Yeah, I don't know if you've chatted to Adam much in the past, but yeah, we've covered him a few times on JPB in the past, in the last few months, year or so, and yeah, it's a very respectful character, whatever. So
no, that was my first time ever talking with him. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm not I'm not surprised, but yeah, he's finished 5th today, but I'm sure we'll bounce back next week, and indeed in the coming weeks with some better results to come. That's it for Indianapolis, just about, Jim. I mean, a very, very attritional race, perhaps
Yes.
more so than we expected. Got 22 cars over to the checkered flag, actually seeing the checkered flag, and 18 of them on the lead lap last week, and today was very, very different at a very tight and difficult circuit.
Yeah, I think, but I think it's going to, starting to shape the championship up, and have some more guys, all staying in the mix. That's going to make for a good season. I like that.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a lot of fun the rest of this season. We'll be back next week with the Red Bull Ring at same time, same place, same amount of laps, 33 laps from that venue, live on the JP channel, of course. A big thanks to everyone who's been tuned in tonight, though. I've been Ian O'Leary alongside Jim Cunningham. From the Yard of Bricks, it's goodbye, and we'll see you in 1 week's time at the Red Bull Ring. Goodbye for now.